Good morning, students. Today we'll study sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So, this is the second chapter. So, in this chapter, we'll study the following points, such as first one, flower, a fascinating organ of angiosperms. Second, pre-fertilization, structures and events. Third, double fertilization. Next, post-fertilization, structure and events. And the last topic, apomixis and polyembryony. Now first one, flower, a fascinating organ of angiosperm. As you know that flower is the reproductive organ of the plants, that is the angiosperm, that is the flowering plants. Flowers are the sites of sexual reproduction. First one event, pre-fertilization. So we'll see before fertilization events, the structure and events. Okay, that means pre-fertilization, structure and event. So what happens before fertilization process? Hormonal and structural changes take place in the plants, which leads to the differentiation and development of the floral primordium. Now what is floral primordium? The inflorescence coming out. So that branch is called as the floral primordium. Now inflorescence are formed which bear of the floral buds and then the flower. Okay. Now you can see when the inflorescence comes, you will find the floral buds. Okay, you can see here the floral bud, and then flowers will come. Okay. In the flower, the male and female reproductive structure, the androecium and the gynoecium differentiate and develop. So in the flower, you will find male reproductive structure. This is called the androecium, which consists of anther and the filament, and gynoecium, which consists of stigma, style and ovary. Okay. So they start differentiating and developing. The androecium represent the male reproductive organ, and gynoecium, because stigma, style and ovary, represents the female reproductive organs, which are both present in the bisexual flower. You can see this is androecium and this is the gynoecium, and so when both androecium and gynoecium present in the same flowers, we say that flower is a bisexual flower. Now we will discuss the stamen, microsporangium and pollen grain. So first, stamen. Now stamen is also called as the male reproductive organ, which consists of two parts, filament and anther. Okay, so you can see this is the filament, which is long and slender stalk, and this is the anther, which is the terminal. Why we say it is terminal? Because it's at the end or the apex of the stalk. So we say it is a terminal bilobe structure. So you can see two lobes. This is one lobe and this is another lobe. So it is called as the bilobe structure. The proximal end of the filament is attached to the thalamus or the petal of the flower, and this end of the filament, it is attached on the petal or on the flower, as you have seen in the previous diagram. You can see here the filament, it is attached on the thalamus on the petal. This is the petal, it is attached on the petal inside the hole. Okay. The number and length of stamens are variable. So you will find in different flower the number of stamens are different, and also the length of the filament is also different in different flowers. Okay. A typical angiosperm anther is bilobe. So bilobe, as I explained you, this is one lobe, this is another bilobe, which with each lobe having two theca, that is they are dithecous. So you can see this is one lobe and this is another lobe. So they have two theca. This is one second, two theca. That is why they are called as the dithecous. A longitudinal groove run lengthwise separating the theca, and these two theca are separated by the longitudinal groove. One line you can see here, this is the longitudinal groove through which this theca opens and they form two theca. Okay. The anther is a four-sided tetragonal structure consisting of four microsporangia located at the corners, two in each lobe. So you can see the anthers, they are four-sided. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 sorry. Structure consisting of four microsporangia. Now this is one microsporangia. You can see here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Located at the corners, two in each lobe. So 1, 2. So this is one lobe and this is another lobe. So two in each lobe. Okay. The microsporangia develop further and become pollen sac. So this microsporangia, it will develop further, so from top till bottom, and it forms the pollen sac. Okay. The extended longitudinally all through the length of an anther and are packed with the pollen grain. So you can see throughout the length of the anther, this is extended, and they are embedded with the pollen grain, which consists pollen grains. Okay, throughout the length, pollen. This is the pollen sac consisting of the pollen grains. Now we'll study structure of microsporangium, that is tiers of anther. So when we take tiers of anther, so if we cut this anther, so that we say tiers of anther horizontally, we'll get this structure. Okay, so structure of microsporangium. So this is the anther. Okay, this is the anther, filament, stem. Now this is the transverse section. If we cut the anther horizontally, we'll get the structure like this, and in detail. So if we enlarge, so we'll get tetrad like this structure. So if we enlarge this part, so we'll get a detailed cellular structure like this, so which consists of four layers, that is the microsporangium. This one microsporangium, tiers of anther, it consists of four wall layers, that is the epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, and the tapetum. Okay. Now, so only one side it is enlarged, so that means these four layers it is present throughout this anther section. Okay. So the outermost layer is called as the epidermis. Next layer it is called as the endothecium, and next to that endothecium, inner side to the endothecium, is the middle layer, which is made up of 2-3 layers. Then the inside middle layer is the tapetum. Okay, and inside the tapetum, inside next to the tapetum layer is the microspore mother cell. Okay. Now the outer three wall layers, that is the epidermis, endothecium, and middle layer, that is this epidermis, endothecium, and middle layer, they do the function of protection and also help in dehiscence of anther to release pollen. Now what is the dehiscence? Line of dehiscence, that is the opening of the pollen sac. Okay, that is called as the dehiscence of anther. So as it opens, splits up, the pollen grains will be released. The innermost wall layer is the tapetum. Okay, so you can say this is the tapetum. It nourishes the developing pollen grains. So pollen grains are here. Okay, inside the sporogenous tissue, microspore mother cell. So this tapetum helps in nourishing. It provides the nutrient to the developing pollen grain. Now cells of tapetum possess dense cytoplasm. It consists of dense cytoplasm and generally have more than one nucleus. Okay, many nucleus are present. When the anther is young, okay, a group of compactly arranged homogeneous cells called the sporogenous tissue occupy the center of each microsporangium. So when the anther is young, the sporogenous tissue occupies this microsporangium. Okay, sporogenous tissue. When it is young, we say it is a sporogenous tissue. Now we'll see the process of microsporogenesis, that is the formation of pollen grain from the mother cell. When anthers develop, the cell of the sporogenous tissue undergo meiotic division to form microspore tetrad. Okay, now you can see this is the anther. If we cut, we get this structure. Okay, bilobe structure. So this is the sporogenous tissue, and in each of this sporogenous tissue, each cell, it is called as the microspore mother cell. So one cell is enlarged here. So this is also microspore mother cell. This is also microspore mother cell. So one cell is enlarged here. So this microspore mother cell undergo meiosis and it will produce two cells. So again meiosis 1. So again meiosis 2, it will undergo meiosis 2 process and it will form tetrad. So 4 cells are formed. Those are called as microspores. Okay. Now this each microspores will function as a pollen grains. So each microspores, they are called as the pollen grain, and they are haploid microspores. So they are n number. So this is microspore mother cell is the 2n. Okay, whereas this one is the n, haploid microspore mother cell. Again they will undergo mitosis and the cell differentiation will take place. Okay. So each cell of the sporogenous tissue is capable of giving rise to a microspore tetrad. Okay. Each one is a potential pollen or microspore mother cell. So this is the microspore mother cell. So each one, so it will develop a potential pore. The process of formation of microspores from a pollen mother cell through meiosis process is called as microsporogenesis. Understood? The process of formation of microspores from the microspore mother cell through meiosis process is called as microsporogenesis. Definition is very important. The microspores as they are formed are arranged in cluster of 4 cells. The microspore tetrad, and we call it as a microspores tetrad. As the anthers matures and dehydrate, the microspores separate from each other and develop into pollen grain. So how each single pollen grains are formed? So when the anthers mature and dehydrate means loss of water, the microspores separate from each other and develop into a single pollen grains. So inside each microsporangium, several thousands of microspores or pollen grains are formed that are released with the dehiscence of the anther. Okay, have you understood? So inside each thousands of pollen grains will be formed. So here there will be many pollen grains, here but there will be many pollen grains, because each microspore mother cell will form 4 pollen grains. So if there are thousands microspore mother cell, then multiplied by 4, so that many pollen grains will be formed. I hope you have understood. Now we'll see the structure of pollen grain. Okay. Now pollen grains represent the male gametophyte. Okay. It consists of variety of sizes, shapes, color and design. So you can see here sizes also varies, the patterns design. So some are triangular, some are spherical, some are oval, then some have spines. This is oval. Okay, so different ornamentation you find in designs. It looks very beautiful under the microscope. Pollen grains are generally spherical, about 25 to 50 micrometer in diameter. They are very small. It has a prominent 2-layer wall. So it consists of 2-layer wall, that is exine and intine. Okay, exine is the outermost wall. The hard outer layer called the exine is made up of sporopollen. Now if we take one pollen grain, so I'll show you the different structure or the layers of the pollen grain. So this is the outermost layer, which is wavy, or it has different ornamentations. It is called as the exine. Okay, exine. Then the next layer, this layer, it is called as the intine, 2 walls. Okay, this in the innermost is the intine. Then inside you will find cytoplasm, nucleoli. Okay, and thickenings of the cellular. Now this is the germ pore. Okay, that is the small opening on the pollen grain. Okay. The hard outer layer called the exine is made up of sporopollen. So this exine is made up of organic material, most resistant organic material called as the sporopollen. Now why it is called resistant? Because it can withstand high temperature and strong acids and alkali. So if there is high temperature also, this all will not destroy. If you put acid also, this all will not destroy. Then there is no enzyme to degrade sporopollenin. So very important this point, sporopollenin. Most of the time is question is asked on this sporopollenin, the most resistant, withstand high temperature. So no enzyme also found to degrade the sporopollenin. Then you must you must be thinking that how the pollen grains germinate if it is resistance to all these things. So God has made one arrangement for that also. So they have small pore called as the germ pore through which the germination of the pollen tube take place. So pollen grains exine has prominent apertures called germ pore where sporopollenin is absent. So here sporopollenin is absent. Okay. So pollen grains are well preserved as fossil because of the presence of sporopollen. So many thousands, millions of years also pollen grains can survive because of the presence of sporopollen. So here also applicative question may come. The exine exhibit a fascinating array of patterns and design. So you can see the exine consists of different patterns and design. Okay, triangular shape, oval shape, and the design also. Next layer, the innermost layer, is the intine. The inner wall of the pollen grain is called the intine. So this is the intine and it is made up of cellulose, okay, and pectin. So it is a thin and continuous layer made up of cellulose and pectin. The cytoplasm of pollen grain is surrounded by a plasma membrane. Okay. When the pollen grain is mature, it contains two cells. Okay, so when this pollen grain it mature, it consists of two cells known as the vegetative cell and the generative cell. Okay, so we can see here when the pollen grains mature, we get two cells, vegetative cell and the generative cell. Okay, now we'll differentiate vegetative cell and the generative cell. So vegetative cell is bigger, you can see here vegetative cell is bigger compared to the generative cell. It has abundant food reserve material, vegetative cell, whereas generative cell do not have abundant compared to vegetative. Has large irregular shaped nucleus, whereas generative cell has spindle shape with dense cytoplasm and a nucleus. And this generative cell floats in the vegetative cell. Okay. So in 60% of angiosperm, pollen grains are shed at two cell stages. So which is the two cell stage? What are the two cell stages? So two cell stage two cell stage means one is vegetative cell and the generative cell. So 60% of the flowering plants shed their pollen grains at this stage. But the remaining species, 40% species, the generative cells divide mitotically to give rise to the two male gametes before pollen grains are shed. That is the three cell stage. Okay, so generative cell, this will form give rise to two male gametes before pollen grains are shed, and that's why it is called as the three cell stage. So you can see this is one cell, second and third one. So generative cells divide into two. Okay, its nucleus divide into two male gametes, whereas this is the vegetative cell nucleus. So here only two, whereas here three cell stage are formed. So hope you have understood. Once they are shed, pollen grains have to land on the stigma before they lose viability to bring out fertilization. Now, why pollen grains are important? Because for the process of fertilization. So before they lose viability means germinating ability. So they have to land on the stigma of the pollen grains. Pollen grains viability is highly variable. Again, this is also variable and depends on temperature and humidity. Some pollen in some cereals such as rice and wheat, pollen grains lose viability within 30 minutes. Okay, so within 30 minutes they lose their viability. They can help in the fertilization process. And in some members of Rosaceae, Leguminaceae and Solanaceae, they maintain viability for months. They can remain dormant for the months, okay, many months. It is possible. So those plants whose viability is very less, who lose their viability within no time. So those pollen grains we can store in a large number of species for years in liquid nitrogen. It is minus 196 degrees Celsius. So if we take liquid nitrogen, that is minus 196 degrees Celsius liquid nitrogen, and if we put the pollen grains whose viability is less, so we can store such pollen grain. So such stored pollen can be used as pollen banks similar to seed banks in crop breeding program. So we can use as a pollen banks. Now disadvantages of pollen grains. So as advantages, there are also disadvantages of pollen grain. Pollen grains of many species causes severe allergies. Will be surprising now. And bronchial application in some people, often leading to chronic respiratory disorder, asthma, bronchitis, etc. So you can see, you will observe that some people, when they come near the tree, they start sneezing. Okay, so that is because of the pollen grain allergy. Or they, when they walk into the grasses, they will start sneezing. They will get irritated nose, then rashes come. This is all pollen grains, symptoms of pollen grains allergy. Okay, so the bronchioles, then they will suffer from respiratory disorders such as asthma and bronchitis. Okay, then the parthenium or the carrot grass is an example of plants which causes pollen allergy. It was introduced a contaminant with imported wheat. Okay, it was introduced plant. It came when the wheat was imported. So with that it came, and now it occurs everywhere and causes pollen and allergy. I will show you the plant. So this is the parthenium plant whose pollen grains causes severe allergy. This is allergic to most of the people. So these are the some grasses which are allergic. So if you walk into these grasses, if you sneeze, avoid walking into these grasses. It is because of the pollen allergy. Okay, if you start sneezing, that means you have the allergy of those pollen grains. Okay. Now advantages of pollen grains. Pollen grains are rich in nutrients and also used as food supplements. Okay, since they are very rich in nutrient, they are used as a food supplement. So so whatever honey we are taking, okay, it is in, if you analyze the honey sample, you find many numbers of pollen grains, thousands of pollen grains, different types of pollen grains in the honey sample, natural. So this is one of the tests you can find out whether the honey what you are consuming is natural or artificial. So in natural honeybee you will always find the pollen grains. Okay, they are rich in pollen because honeybee collects the honey from the different flowers, and during that pollen grains are dusted on the bees and it is transferred into the honey hives. Okay, so that's why in honey we get many pollen grains which are rich in nutrient. In Western countries, pollen products in the form of tablets and syrups are available in the market. So we'll get bee pollen from pollen products such as tablets. Okay, pollen consumption increases the performance of athlete and race horses. So it is also given to the athletes and the race horses. Okay, the horses which are used in the races. Okay. So this is, we will stop here. So any difficulty you can note down, you can tell me, you can call me if you have any difficulty, or you can give me your feedback, or you can send me WhatsApp messages if you have not understood anything. Okay, thank you students.